Hello, welcome back to Steve's Retro Loft. Yeah, it's a slightly different video this week. I'm going to be taking a look at Popular Computing Weekly from November 1982. Obviously there's 4 issues to have a look at, and have a look at the headlines and see if we remember anything that happened. So let's dive in. As you can see, it's volume 1, number 29, so I've hit it in its first year of Popular Computing Weekly, and obviously a new Dragon page. Now Dragon seems to be something that Popular Computing Weekly seemed to champion. It's not a magazine I do remember it, I don't remember buying it. It's one of those sort of things you just inherited off somebody else. So let's have a look at the first headline. So let's have a look at the first big headline. So Spectrum shunned in education scheme. Now, so comes as no surprise anyone watched Micromen that obviously Sinclair was hoping for the sort of BBC gig, but obviously Acorn beat them to it. So let's unpick that headline. As you can see, local authorities plumped for Acorn and research machines apart from the Spectrum. Not sure why. Spectrum was a much cheaper device, but obviously the BBC Micro had the advantage of being on television all the time. So yeah, it's no real surprise there. So local authorities doing their own things. Some had the Commodore PET, some had one or two had the Spectrum, I think, but mostly the BBC and research machines, which is one of those devices I think people only ever saw in schools and colleges. At my school we had a few BBCs and Commodore PETs, but nothing else other than that. When I joined a sort of youth training scheme after I left school, we had a network of research machines and loads and loads of Sanyo PCs, which were sort of MS-DOS compatible, but yeah, they were largely terrible. But yeah, this was back in the 80s when I don't think anyone really standardised everything. There was sort of Microsoft compatible devices, there was IBM compatible devices, CPM, DOS machines, and all sorts of things. So yeah, it was a bit of a not a minefield, but it was just one of those sort of things where no one really decided what they were going to do. So let's have a look what else was happening then. So the Spectrum deal, not queue jumping, so a special deal for 500 Spectrums promised within 28 days, because that was delivery was an issue then. Every didn't even exist, so yeah. Through the Observer newspaper. So if you, Sinclair spokesman said there's no queue jumping, but if you bought the Observer and you applied to a special offer bollocks of it, you managed to get a Spectrum quick. So yeah, there we go. Unleashing of the Lynx is another headline there. Computers, strange name, will launch the Lynx microcomputer in the second week of November. Imagine a computer or some device called the Lynx. They'll never catch on. So yeah, that was just a couple of quick headlines from that week. So let's move on to the 11th of November. Dragon has been forced in sale by Metoy. Metoy, obviously the holding company for them. It looks like they were having problems and they had to sell Dragon as a separate entity. I get the feeling this magazine was leaning towards Dragon a little bit. Maybe it's the early days of 8-bit, so you know they didn't know what horse to back. Obviously the ZX81 was quite popular, so most people would have thought the Spectrum would be popular, but yeah, I guess they're hedging their bets, and yeah, it's one of those things. The Dragon seemed to be a reasonably nice machine. Never used one though, and I don't know anybody that owned one other than my boss, but he was from the northeast, so yeah, they maybe had their own sort of little unique area, pockets of stuff. So obviously the Dragon was a Welsh device, so yeah, maybe it sort of was popular there. I don't know. If anyone got any more information on it, let me know. So let's have a look at the headline. So yeah, it just goes on to expand on the fact that the Dragon division of Metoy needs to be sold off. Obviously Sinclair again back in the news on a week later, so in voucher mix-up. So if you bought a Spectrum at the time, with you got a £10 discount voucher given away by Sinclair Research, but if you bought more than one at the same time, you only got one voucher. So yeah, there's things happening there. Rumbelows, remember them? Aggressive marketing tactics. So they slashed 30 quid off the VIC-20, which was $169.99. I don't know, I never got on with the VIC-20. I never owned one, but I just always thought the graphics were just too blocky, a bit horrible. And I'd never liked the colour of the device. The Commodore 64 was a sort of reasonable colour. But yeah, there we go. And talking the Commodore 64, the VIC-20 obviously rallies because the launch of the Commodore 64 falters. Yeah, obviously 40 odd years later, there's a new Commodore 64 about to be released. So I don't know if that's hit the market yet, but yeah, you could probably check out Perry Fractic's channel, Retro Recipes, and he'll probably give you more information about it. But yeah, so it looks like the VIC-20 was still strong while the Commodore 64 was struggling. And they got the 5th ZX Micro Fair in December, which is odd because 1982 was obviously this 3rd year of the ZX devices. So was it called something else before? Or did they hold multiple ZX Micro Fairs? Yeah, again, if you have any more information, let me know. Taking a horizontal view. Yeah, if you want to print horizontally, you can print sideways rather than widthways, or apparently or do something like that with some bit of software, which is nice. The BBC has 4th, a modem is approved, and the Hobbit, yeah, seems to be a deal tied up with the Tolkien estate, produced the adventure game for the Spectrum. Yeah, nice. So, a week later, on the 18th of November, Sony launches Microdrive. No, not that one. Another one. It's a 3.5-inch micro floppy disk for the UK, priced at £235. That was probably really expensive. I do remember the very early generations, not the very early generations, but sort of the sort of double height Sony 3.5-inch floppy drives, because I used to work for an Apricot dealer, and some of the early Apricot computers had a 3.5-inch floppy drive in there, which I think was either a single-sided or double-sided drive. I think it's 315 K on single-sided and 630 on double-sided, so it's a little bit more capacity than the pictures shown in there. I say, yeah, it goes on to explain it a little bit more on the news desk. Obviously, Sinclair decided they're going to produce their own joystick. I never saw that. The Sinclair adverts used to have a joystick on there, which was interesting, strange-looking thing. The only Sinclair sort of branded joystick I remember was the SJS1, which was the terrible joystick that came with this Plus 2, or some of the Plus 2 packs. Yeah. I think the least we say about the SJS1, the better. Right, let's have a look. Now, Sharp have introduced some microcomputers for sale in Japan. Again, it's just one of those things. Sharp, there was a computer shop near us that sold stuff, but never really took on. Yeah, I guess there was not much competition in the marketplace. It's no surprise. Other headlines: teletext available on the BBC Micro in January. I mean, yeah, that's the sort of thing that we would have dreamed of. I mean, the Spectrum probably could have got away with it, but I don't think it did. It had Presto, which is roughly, it's not teletext, but I think it used the same sort of system and the same sort of screen sort of resolution and graphics as teletext, which is, I've done a video on a view data system, which is very, very similar, and I'll probably add it to the link at the end if I remember to do that. And what else? We've got some plans for 50 more micro centres, or IT centres. So Information Technology Minister Kenneth Baker, remember him, has announced to set up 50 more IT centres. So it means there's now 150 proposed. I'm not sure if they ever happened. And to say more sort of advertising Dragon. There's Dragon Users Group if you want to do join that. It says there details may be forthcoming in a later episode. Talking of later episodes, let's go to the 25th of November. Now, Atari has dropped an injunction against Commodore because it looks like they might have tried to copy Pac-Man, which I think everybody tried to copy Pac-Man. And yeah, and there we go. But they decided to drop the injunction. So yeah, interesting. And a little bit more there on the injunction. And we move on to the Atari 400 getting a soft cell keyboard, which looks to be an add-on to replace the touch-sensitive keyboard, which looked terrible, pretty much like the ZX81 keyboard, but bigger and possibly worse, if that was even possible. Epson launches QX10, which is a desktop computer, as opposed to one of those little tiny sort of portable computers with a tiny display and a micro cassette. So yeah, I don't recall ever seeing any Epson desktops, but here they are. They released one, and it was called the QX10. Yeah, I'm sure you can research it later yourself. On to Sinclair again. A couple of Sinclair stories. Sinclair Spectrum delays are over, so yeah, the backlog is cleared. Yeah, I believe it when we see it. And then another Sinclair story a bit further down. Sinclair software protection. It's not a lens lock or anything like that. It's just the Sinclair branding on some cassettes. So yeah, I think a lot of people tried to sort of hop onto the Spectrum branding by sticking the Sinclair logo on, and obviously Sinclair said no, we're the only ones that can do that, and we're the only ones that can release high quality software with the Sinclair branding. As you've seen from some of my previous videos, yeah, there was lots of high quality Sinclair software. And panic over from one of the earlier stories from a week or so ago. The first batch of the Commodore 64 is on its way, and they're hoping to sell 6,000. I'm sure they might have done that. Anyway, and it looks like there's an offending Dragon advert as well. So Dragon, unfortunately, I've got some sort of text overlay thing on my thing, but yeah, there's a Dragon advert which seems to be quite sexist. So yeah, there we go. So my wife might understand that. Yeah, it was truly those sort of days when you could probably, well, they obviously didn't get away with it because they got caught out, and they probably had to remove the offending article. So if we go back to the 11th of November, you can see Melbourne House has tied up a deal with the Tolkien estate to produce an adventure game for the Spectrum called The Hobbit. And yeah, let's take a look at that now. So, The Hobbit. Yeah, I don't know anybody that didn't have it in a black case, but if you open it, there's the book. So let's have a look at the game. An useless adventure game, so this might not last long, although I did try a walkthrough of it recently, and I got stuck. But yeah, let's have a visit again of The Hobbit and watch as, was it a basic program drawing the graphics? Who knows, but it was entertaining at the time. So let's have a quick look and let's see how far I get. So welcome to the world of The Hobbit. Now, one thing I've noticed at the top of the screen is version 1.2. Yeah, I don't know if there was bugs and you couldn't complete it, but I know when I tried to have a go the other week using a walkthrough, because I'm not that good at graphical adventures or text adventures, I got stuck. I got stuck with the trolls, kept chucking me back in jail. But yeah, these sort of things happen. Yeah, let's have a look and see how the world of The Hobbit looks. So, I know straight away I can read a map. Oh, let's have a look. Read map. Then I'll go east. A gloomy land with dreary hills ahead. I don't know, to be honest, I live in Birmingham and that looks like paradise, to be perfectly honest with you. But instead I will go east again because that's what the walkthrough tells me to do. I'm in a troll's clearing. It does quite look like a desolate place. In this case I'll go north. Oh, hello, a vicious troll. Yep. Let's go north because that's what the instructions tells me to do. And yeah, I must admit the one thing about The Hobbit which was quite annoying was the very, very slow drawing. I don't know if this bit, I assume this bit was probably in BASIC, and I'm sure it's probably got some machine code elements in there somewhere. But yeah, it draws the screen, which yeah, I'm not going to complain about because yeah, at the time, yeah, I guess you were fairly limited what you can do. And I will now wait, because apparently that's what you need to do. You have to wait till dawn, apparently. Dawn. Day dawns. So now I go south. I believe there's a key I need to get. Get key. Oops. Get key. Go north again. So let's have a look. Did I go? I waited. I went south. Got the key. Went north. And apparently I need to unlock a door. Oh, that's all right then. Open door. Go north. I'm in the Troll's Cave, so get rope and yeah, the delete is a bit annoying on this. Get a rope and sword. Go south. Go south again. Southeast. Give map to Elrond. Oh, okay. So that's where it goes wrong for me. Take map from foreign. Do I get stabbed in the face? Okay. Is there a tell? Okay. Take map. Take map. Okay, yeah, I think this is where where I'll leave it. There is a walkthrough available online. You can find it. I don't know how accurate it is. It might be that the version I've got is slightly different from the walkthrough, because I think there was a version 1.1. I think obviously 1.2. Assume version 1 may have been the original release. I don't know. Oh, L1 gives you some lunch. But yeah, there we go. That's The Hobbit. That's a quick look at The Hobbit and all the exciting things you can have in, I assume it's Middle Earth and things like that, because I'd never read The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings or anything like that. I was more of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy person. Yeah, I don't read many books either, but yeah, to be honest, it was more sci-fi rather than sort of yeah, trolls and strange people, yeah, and doing things like that. Anyway, that's The Hobbit. So it's a bit of a different video from what I've done previously. Sometimes it's nice to look back on old headlines to see how the IT industry has changed completely, and software deadlines and hardware deadlines and short supply. Obviously, we're a thing of the past, because those sort of things never happen anymore. Anyway, if you like what I do, please like, comment and subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notified next time one of these videos drops. But until next time, I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.